Think about that. Think about that shit, that shit you just said.
Yes.
50% of the workforce will be entrepreneurs,
solopreneurs, independent contractors, small businesses
by 2023.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Cannonball Mindset. We are in a podcast studio this week down here in D.C. at the Wharf in D.C. at this new office building by a great company called Make Offices, who rents out office space, correct?
Yes.
I'm saying you'll tell us all about that. But
yes.
I'm sitting with the CEO, the mastermind, and really, I don't even know how to describe you because it seems like a title, a CEO title doesn't really do you justice. Because I've spent the last month looking at videos of you. Every time you walk down the hall, there's a confetti cannon or there's a beer being handed to you. Or you're running through a poster or some shit. Yeah. It's crazy. But sitting here with Zach Wade, the CEO of Make Offices, and this is going to be an awesome conversation.
Listen, this is a thrill for me, Chad. I really appreciate you joining us. This is our first Make Offices. We'll get into it, what we exact do, but today we're launching our podcast membership, and it's a maker studio. We've got amazing recording rooms within our space, and now we're trying to design a product or a membership around the recording studios, whereas before we never had.
Yeah.
So this will be my first podcast. And this will be the first podcast of Maker Studios.
That's awesome.
Yes. So this
we're breaking historic ground right now.
We're launching.
We literally landed on Plymouth Rock just now.
We have no idea how this sounds. Hopefully it sounds pretty good on the other end of it. But
I'm excited because
we're like Christopher Columbus.
That's exactly. We're like charting new territory.
Armstrong. We're a lot of pioneers ahead of us.
Right, we're happening right now.
Right.
So here's what's great is that we connected through LinkedIn. Started following you, started following your story, and I'm interested in, obviously, what Make Offices does, and like you said, we'll get to that, but I'm fascinated by you.
Yeah.
As somebody that works with and does executive coaching for CEOs and trains salespeople and culture, I'm captivated by this whole idea of what seems to be real intrinsic belief in you gotta have fun while you're working. You gotta make people feel important because it seems like that's what you do. So I want to kind of talk about that. But first, tell me, you didn't start in Make Offices. This wasn't this one where you started well before that in
real estate.
In real estate, yeah. But give me the Zach Wade story.
All right. So I grew up was born in D.C. up in Marlboro, and my parents. Probably the best decision they ever made was moving to Annapolis. When my father was from kind of all over the place. My mother's from Jersey, grew up in Jersey City. They got married, and my father went to 5 different colleges when he was in the Air Force. But then they were all over the place. But the fact that they landed, he was doing business in Pennsylvania, and they landed in D.C. I consider one of the greatest gifts because it's a great town. But growing up in Annapolis as a bedroom community to D.C. was a great place to grow up.
Oh, yeah.
It's myself, and I have an older brother. It's the two of us, and so we grew up on the South River, and we're river rats, and we're out and about.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a.
I didn't grow up too far from there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Where?
I grew up in Pasadena, in Anne Arundel County, but went to high school. Used to play against South River High School all the time.
I would have gone to South River. I ended up going to Severn High School.
Oh, yeah.
But I actually was on the track to go to South River. Went to Central Middle.
Yeah.
Then my parents decided after there was a teacher that got beat up by a student.
Oh, that was it.
Then it was time to take a different look.
Yeah.
And so we went over to Severn and graduated in 92.
Me too.
Did you really?
We played against each other in some sport. I know it. What sports?
What high school?
I went to Northeast High School.
Northeast?
Yeah. So, but I'm 6'8", so I only got to play basketball.
Our football team definitely didn't play football. We're the MSAC division.
Yeah, and trust me, this body didn't play football.
So we went played lacrosse in North Carolina.
Oh, great! Yeah.
And felt my brother was also 2 years ahead of me at North Carolina, and it was pretty incredible experience.
Yeah.
His first of all, it's great having being able to enjoy that experience with your brother.
Yeah, right.
Playing for a great college team, and it's also great to give that gift to your parents.
Oh, yeah, right.
Where they'd worked really hard growing up. At certain times, my father was in real estate before he would go like, I'm pretty certain, we've never known it, but I think he went bankrupt at least once or twice.
Yeah.
And there were times where things were really good, and times where my mother would go back to work as a waitress at a diner. So I consider that kind of a big part of my upbringing is having always witnessed some sort of struggle.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty certain my kids have not seen a struggle like that. So I think that's pretty sort of informative experience as a youth.
Yeah, it really fills you up. I'm from a single mom and worked all the time. And at the time, at least I did not really realize the sacrifice she was making. But, man, when you get older, I'm filled with a sense of gratitude for what I have and for the life I'm able to give my children.
Oh, totally. Like the fact that my father worked in D.C., was a workaholic, kind of like, and didn't know him at all growing up. Didn't know him until I went to college.
Yeah.
But that was kind of every dad.
Yeah, right.
But he was at every game. And he was always at every game in a weird place in the sidelines, not with all the other parents. And just so I always knew he was there. And he's kind of really intense person.
Yeah.
Whereas my mother was sort of the life of the party, say, like, and but didn't drink. She didn't drink, and she was the life of the party. I've had friends come up to me for years asking like how wasted my mother was, and she was like, "Well, unless Diet Coke's doing something different, she's not." That's her.
Just true intrinsic.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Joy. Yeah, that's awesome.
Pretty impressive. So great childhood, great college experience, a lot of success in lacrosse. Was able to see from a kind of work ethic and results. Was able to see it firsthand. Like throughout my career, I could put a line at how much work I put in.
Yeah.
And then how well I did that year. And if I put in the most work, I did the best.
Yeah.
And like to have that kind of experience, to have the teamwork, team atmosphere, all that stuff. This is kind of where you start getting a sense where great culture creates great results.
Yeah, right.
And but like there was my senior year, I went to school in Australia for a semester. Wow. And while I was there, my buddy and I, Rob Tobin, we were committed. We were the first kids on the team to ever go away for a semester where we should have been there playing.
Yeah, right.
And
why did you make that decision? What was the?
We had a friend of ours unfortunately passed away when we were juniors. A good friend was kind of a weird experience in Chapel Hill. It was bad. So it was good to clear the mind and get out of town. It was really sort of interesting situation. But it was available. Like all you have to do is go to these offices in the college. There's these programs set up. So all you have to do is go. You can go away to school for a semester.
Wow.
It's not that complicated. It's not that hard. Yeah. It's sign up, and we went to Australia for between July and December, and came back senior year with long hair. Before I used to go by Jason Wade, and I changed my name to Zach after I came back.
Really?
Yes. So I changed my name.
Came back with a hell of a lot more hair.
Totally rebranded. Totally rebranded.
Rebranded myself in Australia.
And people for years would ask me, like, why Zach? I'm like, well, I didn't like the looks of Jason Wade on a business card. At some point, kind of like, and in business, I figured Zach Wade's going to sound a little bit more, a little sharper, a little.
Yeah.
And
Chad Sanchagrin doesn't really.
It's pretty good though.
What's that last name?
Not terrible.
I get it.
Not terrible.
Yeah, I get it though. Zach Wade, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you came back, let me ask a question. So you come back and you have this new branding. Would you say this was you had to be 20 at the time? 21?
I was young. So
you go to school
20,
18,
20. Yeah.
Right. So you come back. Would you say this is a defining shift moment in your life? Is this
It could have been a confidence builder. Like I was a shy kid growing up, and coming back and being able to. I had a fantastic year as a senior in lacrosse, and was able to. The rebranding was pretty interesting. Yeah, I would say it was a kind of an interesting. I would recommend that for a lot of people at a lot of different times in their life, figuring out a rebrand.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's a lot of people that. I don't think a lot of people actually think of themselves as a brand. It's so interesting you say that, because we talk about rebranding or branding and all, and people talk about the companies they work for. Well, I work for Make Offices, I work for Cannonball Moments, I work for GE or whatever. But your biggest brand is you. And people don't spend a lot of time really focusing on that brand, right?
I hear you. I do this personal brand thing. I'm pretty big on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I really get a lot out of it from a company aspect, and I'm fascinated by the social media side, and I've only got into it late after 40s.
Yeah, right.
And it's great for our business. It's great for our company if I can promote if it's my personal brand, but the name of the company is standing right next to my name. And 15,000 people can see a video versus. That's really interesting to me.
Yeah,
if I didn't need that for the company, I don't know if I would really be focused on a personal brand. I mean, personal brand, I would say, am I working with people that I really like, really care about, in an industry that I really like, really care about, and doing great things, right?
Yeah.
And wherever your brand needs to be to accomplish that is kind of what I'm most
that's your
focused
brand,
about.
right?
Yeah.
So your brand is very in sync. Obviously, you're a CEO with Make Offices. You
100%.
Right? You walk through the hallway, and I just walked in, and people are freaking high-fiving me down the hallway, people I never met, right?
This is Make Offices is it's shared office space.
Yeah.
It's a concept that has been around for a long time, but has been just refined in 2007. Co-working is what it kind of goes by, and co-working is really putting a lot of people that are doing different things for themselves or for small company or big company, put them together in one space, create communal opportunities, engagement opportunities, and have them interact meaningfully, not just, hey, I'll see you at the water cooler, but driving events, driving reasons for people to talk to each other, engage with each other, exchange best practices, lessons learned. And it's most powerful when they're coming from different industries.
Yeah.
And I am personally intellectually very curious about other people.
Right.
And that's kind of like the best part of this business is understanding what Goat Rodeo, our partner with this podcasting, what are they doing, and what is podcasting, and how is that even a business, and what business, how can I help them? Right? That's sort of my immediate mindset. So that's kind of why I'm a good fit for this business.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so let's jump back. So you
come out of school.
You go to Australia. You got long hair. You got a new name.
Moved to San Francisco for a year. Head coach of Cal Berkeley's lacrosse team.
All right.
Doorman at a nightclub.
As you were the head coach of the lacrosse team, head coach Cal Berkeley lacrosse team,
co-head coach of Cal Berkeley's lacrosse team,
and doorman at the nightclub.
That was only 4 nights. It wasn't a hard gig. It was from 9 o'clock to 4 a.m. and I was not mature enough to handle the co-head coach. I shouldn't have been there. My co-head coach was very mature. It was a perfect fit. I was more the rah-rah guy, but I was a great doorman at a nightclub.
Yeah, I bet. That's awesome.
This was Sir Francis Drake, 21st floor of Francis Drake, Harry Denton Starlight Lounge, and Don Johnson and Cheech Marin were coming in all the time. All the 49ers were coming in.
Did you have a white jacket?
I was tuxedo.
Nice.
Tuxedo.
If
I remembered all the pieces to it for every night, because I got there at 9, and when you're 21 years old, you can get into a lot of trouble before 9.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the best doorman, but it was not hard to be a doorman. But after a year, it was really pretty obvious. It was time to. I had met a lot of great friends, a lot of great people, and it was time to take. All right, well, I'm bored at not taking life seriously. It's time to take life seriously. And I knew I always wanted to be in real estate.
Yeah.
And I just packed everything up in my car and drove back one week in 1997.
Wow.
And then when I got back here, I moved in with the folks in Annapolis.
Yep.
And then just knowing real estate was kind of, my dad was in it. I'd helped him out during summer times. It was a kind of logical, at least first step. So I just put the word out into the real estate community in 97, which was coming out of recession at the time. Yep. So it wasn't easy. And just eventually got a job and was in leasing, market research to start, then office leasing for 8 years.
Yeah.
Then it was great companies, Lincoln Property Company for 4, Trammell Crow Company for another 4 because I switched because I wanted to get closer to the development side.
Yeah.
And every single switch, every time I've moved in my career, I've taken a pay cut my pay in at least a third.
Wow.
Just because I was more focused on, like, what am I really interested in getting up out of bed in the morning every day.
Wow, that's huge. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
So the idea of taking a pay cut
Every time. Significant.
to by a third to do something that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning.
The key is
A lot of people can't wrap their head around that.
Well, the key is to somehow just make sure, focus on your monthly nut.
Right.
Make sure your monthly nut is always at a point where you can make a move and you can make drastic changes. Yeah. At the end of the day, at the end of this, whatever journey, it's all going to come out. It'll all work. I'm supremely confident that all the decisions I've made will be to my benefit.
Yeah, right.
But
even if they're not immediately felt.
Oh, by the way, I'm still certain. Yeah. Some of them aren't felt. It still hasn't caught up to me.
Right.
No, it's like, and that gets lost on a lot of people. It's gotten lost on a lot of my friends. And once you get used to making a certain amount of money, and you get your cars, you get the nicer car, and your monthly expense for that, and then you
going up.
then you're trapped.
Yeah.
And I just never want to be trapped.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so again, you Trammell Crow Company, great company by the way. Then
I switched to that was leasing. Want to get on the investment side. Yeah. Got my master's in real estate. Knew what I wasn't getting exposure to. It was interviewing for jobs as an analyst on the investment side for younger friends of mine. So, like, let's say at the time I was 30 years old. I was trying to interview for a buddy of mine that was 26. I was trying to be his what's a nice way of saying it? Like his analyst.
Yeah, right.
Rather than his whatever. Just he was, in order to learn a different part of the business, you have to step back to go forward. I got a job on the investment side, and then pretty quickly after that, there's a company called MRP Realty that my brother was a partner in.
Yep.
They started in 2005. In 2006, I joined them as their sixth employee, or second employee. But there's one guy ahead of me, Charlie McGrath, but then I became the first partner within the partnership. And that was 6 people in 2006, and we are 160 people right now. So it's been great. It's been a fun ride. And all sorts of shit shows along the way. And, that was 2006. Head into 2008 for real estate. It was a pretty interesting time. Yeah. And then have just... You want me to go all the way up to right now?
No. So yeah, we're gonna get back to that. But let me ask you this question. So let's kind of let me segue off a little bit into. Obviously, it looks like you've not jumped around, but you've been driven by something higher than let's just have a job, a higher purpose than hey, I just need a job. I want to pay bills. I think you're married.
Married,
kids.
2 kids.
Yep. So it doesn't seem like you're driven by a paycheck or a job because it seems like there's something else at play here.
I was making more money than I make today when I was 29 years old for a company there my wife would look at me like, what's going on? I'm like, I've been having a hard time getting out of bed in the morning. And I could count on that income. It was a commission-based business, but I was good at it, and I could crank it, and I could just keep going but I was making a lot of money, and I just couldn't make it happen. I took a mentor of mine to breakfast and said, here's where I am. Here's where my head is. This is what my future looks like. His exact words were, well, you got to get the fuck out. Yeah. Because most people have that realization when they're 40. Yep. You're 28.
Exactly right.
And if you have it when you're 40, then you're stuck.
Right.
Because they're your private schools.
Right.
Regular schools.
Yeah.
Schools, kids, bills. You're stuck.
You certainly feel more stuck, right?
That's fair.
It's not as I was 40.
Nobody's stuck.
Right. I was 42 when I left my great company, great pay, health benefits to start my own company.
Okay, that's fair.
Most people would think I'm out of my freaking mind, and there are days I think I am. But the idea being so in that whole play of growing of finding something that fulfills you.
Yes.
Maybe fulfill might not be the right word.
I've always been convinced what can you go? I've never once when I'm doing the MRP stuff, I never feel like I'm driving to work.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. A gift. I feel like it's a gift that I've given myself. I've given my family. And I think it's important for your kids to see that type of, whether it's not. I don't. When I'm working on the weekends, I'm not working.
Right.
I'm doing what I need to do.
Yeah, I have the same way. I Gary V, which I know we share interest in Gary V, good mentor of mine, and he, everything he says, it's and I 100% agree. It's these people that live for Friday.
Yes.
It's is your life so bad Monday through Friday that you live for that time to not have to go to work, and oh my gosh, Monday's coming. For me, I love weekends. Now I don't love weekends because I get to stop doing what I do Monday through Friday. I get excited for Mondays because I get to do this shit. I get to go back and forth. I get to do something that fulfills me. But a lot of people aren't programmed that way. A lot of people, are programmed to, hey, I get a job with good health benefits that pays the bills, and then when you become 60, I was with some great friends this weekend, and that I hadn't seen in a while, and one of them said, I got 6 years left, and I'm done. I'm retiring, and he's my age, so he'll be 50. He said, I'm retiring, I'm done. And for me, it didn't register. And again, everybody's different, right?
That guy must have great hobbies.
Right. Like what?
I don't.
My hobbies are what I get to do for work throughout the week. Right. I like to golf 100%. And stuff, but
sure.
But getting to talk to people like you, getting to do the podcast, getting able to do keynotes or training. Like to me, that's all about fulfillment.
Yeah, so, I'm not gonna go. I don't. My hobby is like my business is my kind of life, which is life, and I don't. It'd be hard to go through. Life's hard as it is. Yeah, it'd be hard not to be
filled, not to be happy,
fired
right?
up every day. Yeah, and you don't need to be. It doesn't work that way, but you feel like you're working, you're not working. You're kind of like you're experiencing, right? And then having success, really success follows that.
Yeah,
I think.
No question.
People, it's either genuine, it's either passionate, it's either whatever you want to call it. Like that, success gravitates towards it.
Yeah,
and what is it? Positivity. If you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to be positive about it, and positivity is a happiness magnet.
Yeah. So how do people get there? So let me ask you a question. How do you make that? Because there's a lot of people that understand that on a conceptual level. They're sitting at their job right now, or they're driving home from work, and they're thinking, what I'm doing, it doesn't fulfill me, but it puts food on the table. It allows me to pay for my kids' school, and at some point, maybe I'll find my passion. When I retire, I'll travel. But how do you what do you say to somebody to get them to understand that you don't have to wait to be fulfilled?
There's so many opportunities.
You can have it all.
Well, I think now more than ever, there's opportunities to find what people call a side hustle.
Yeah.
To like explore whatever you're passionate about, whether Gary Vee talks about if you start a podcast, if you're into golf, start a golf podcast, or if you're into but I guess the key is what are you passionate about?
Yeah, that's the key.
There's a lot of people out there that'll help you figure it out. Yeah. There's any number of consultants throughout. Like that's what's fascinating about what the world's going, and why I like this particular business is 40% of the workforce is projected to be independent contractors, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs by 2020, and half the workforce by 2023. And
think about that.
Believe it.
Think about that.
Yes.
Think about that. That shit you just said.
Yes.
50% of the workforce.
Yes.
Will be entrepreneurs,
solopreneurs, independent contractors, small businesses.
By 2023.
Yes.
That is
think about it. There's no
huge
company besides the big tech guys. And there's no companies. There's no middle management anymore.
Correct.
Software's just eating that away.
Yep.
And so everyone has an opportunity to go do what they do best, and they can be found throughout the world. Can find them doing their thing.
Correct.
It's
so that to me that stat that you just said. Go back to what I said earlier when we were talking about personal branding. To me, that's why personal branding is so important. Because right now, when we talk a lot, I talk to a lot of companies, and I talk to their employees, and I tell them it's all about your personal brand within the umbrella of the company brand.
Yes.
Like you talked about, right? Like, so I don't want to build a brand outside of Make Offices, right? So I don't want to build a separate brand outside of Make Offices.
I think they should.
Right.
Like I think these people, like my narrative for our folks are, let's use LinkedIn for me is one of the more powerful platforms. I've never been on Facebook, and I'm on it. just to sign up for other stuff.
Yeah, but you what's crazy about that, right, is you have a huge, and this is where I think people sometimes shortchange themselves, right? Because you have such an important message.
Yeah.
You have such a great message to deliver. Listen, we've known each other via LinkedIn for a month.
Yeah.
But like I said at the beginning, I'm captivated by the contribution that you're making. So imagine if that's only made under the premise of make offices.
Yeah.
When you're missing an entire segment of people that could benefit from your contribution, from your gift of, hey, how do I start? How do I become the CEO of a company? How do I create the culture here? I work with some amazing companies. The culture here is insane.
Yeah.
You created that, right? So,
Yeah.
So what if it's only done under that umbrella and you're only using these platforms for one silo type of thing?
Interesting.
Again, just an observation.
Yeah.
But I cut you off. I apologize.
No, but for us, let's say it's a business to small business.
Yeah.
Right. And we're B to C to B to small B.
Right.
And in order to get that, our big part of we're direct to our customer through. So we have space, and in traditional real estate, you have a landlord, you have a landlord broker, tenant broker, and then the tenant.
Yeah.
Here we have us, and then the customer.
No
we call them members.
Yeah,
no middleman. So direct to consumer. We find our customers via organic, kind of word of mouth and this type of thing, podcasts, and or we do paid digital marketing efforts on every platform, which are very powerful. Gary Vee, I wish I got wine.com or wish I was buying the wine click.
Yeah, right.
I wish I was buying co-working when it was cheap, but it's super expensive. We spend $45 to $55,000 a month on digital marketing as a company.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just significant.
Yeah.
And if we we can use a platform where I have a lot of connections, but then I really am focused on our team members that are in our individual spaces, taking care of our members. It's their time to add to their personal brand.
Yeah, right.
And everyone within their spaces. Generally, we have like 400 to 500 people within each space.
Wow.
Working for any number of companies.
Wow. In each office. Philadelphia, Chicago, Reston, D.C.
So we have 13 offices open. We'll have 2 that'll start construction. So we've got 9 going to 10 in D.C. So we're throughout the D.C. region. The average size is between 35 and 40,000 feet. We are in the Wharf, which is where we're sitting, K Street, DuPont, Logan Circle, and moving up to Bethesda, Maryland, Tyson's Corner, Clarendon, Virginia, and Reston.
Wow.
And we have another one that will open up on Pennsylvania.
And 500 members
each. So right now we have like 3,740 members.
That's phenomenal.
It's fantastic.
It's unbelievable.
Well, the way I like to look at it is when I was at MRP Realty, a company that's been around for a long time, has 106 people. We manage 10 million feet, right? And as we're a property manager of 10 million square feet.
Yeah.
We, at that company, have a direct relationship with maybe 250 people.
Wow.
Now, for Make Offices, we have 465,000 feet, and I have a direct relationship with 3,740 people. It's fascinating.
do the math. Yeah, it's
just
phenomenal.
And that's why the valuations associated with the bigger names in the business and where we hope to be is we are the 5th largest in the country right now.
Yeah. Of
co-working companies with WeWork's the largest. They're the kind of Kleenex brand in the business. It's fascinating though. I'll go to cocktail parties or neighborhood parties, and I always ask my neighbors. You said, you ever hear WeWork? They're like, no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. Have you ever heard of co-working? No idea what you're. So this whole thing's just getting started.
Correct. I agree. Listen, I know WeWork. I know of them lately because the new stands they took on no meat for their employees.
By the way, we were thinking about going primal. As a response, we need to get a press release out. Maybe this is our press release. We're going caveman over here.
We're going caveman.
Yes.
Yeah.
All meat and cheese.
No meat for their employees, which is that's whatever. But the idea is you're right. People don't know about this, and here's the thing. There are people that are unconsciously incompetent. And they just don't know what they don't know, right? Yeah. It's not their fault. They don't know that starting a company, when you start thinking about, I want to be a sole entrepreneur, this again, 50%.
Yeah.
They don't know that to be a sole entrepreneur is actually easier than what they the technical side of it
Yes.
is a lot easier than what they actually believe it to be.
Yeah, today it's easier than it's ever been, ever.
Yeah.
Because of all the different stuff that's available in the cloud,
Yeah.
on your apps, on your healthcare, you can figure out. Your like HR has never been easier. It's so fascinating how, and for office space before co-working existed, your options were your friend's basement,
Yep.
your buddy's sublease in a law firm, like
Yeah,
maybe
yep.
he had a couple offices.
Yeah.
And think about how many small businesses failed because they were in one of those situations,
Correct.
never got to interact with other businesses,
Yeah.
never got to learn a lesson that might have been the difference.
That's exactly right.
And I'm convinced
Oh.
that this platform, co-working, will be the result of it will be generate a significant amount of new businesses that will become larger businesses.
I'm saying Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. Everybody knows the stories that they started in their parents' garage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this co-space and what you're doing now, and what's available now. This is the new garage
That's right.
with a million resources and connections around you.
That's right.
It's you put Jeff Bezos in a place like this 20 years ago.
Yes.
Amazon doesn't take 20 years to become the conglomerate. Amazing. It's still it's exponentially.
It's kind of like all the middle that got wiped out.
Yeah,
But
that's exactly
those
right.
guys are like something so unique, special that they survived. But I think a larger part of the bell curve will survive.
I agree. I'm saying Tiger Woods. It's a great story. Tiger Woods, back in his prime, was asked after he won the Masters, said, "Who's your biggest competition? Is it Ernie Els? Is it David Duval? Is it Phil Mickelson?" He said, "Listen, my biggest competition is the 10-year-old kid right now who's sitting at home, who's watching what I'm doing, but it's going to do what I did and get here a hell of a lot faster."
Interesting.
And what's happened now is the way that the sole entrepreneur and what the spaces like this and what you guys do is allowing people to cut the learning curve. And they're going to get there a lot faster because now I have so many things. I don't have to worry about the networking part because I'm going to get that here standing at the Miss Pac-Man game or the bar downstairs or the coffee bar. I'm not going to have to worry about the added expense of, oh my gosh, can I pay my utility bill? Can I pay one?
Yeah.
Just pay
How does the lease work?
Yeah. How does the lease work?
How do you own a furniture?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There's I call it the 5F curve, where for co-working, where the world there's a traditional landlord, and then co-working, there's like tenants are diving up the F curve where it's fun or it's less friction.
Yeah.
Like it's a license agreement, 3-page, 4-page, rather than a 120-page lease.
Right.
I don't know what sounds better to you, but
give me the 3-page.
Yeah,
lease.
there's a month-to-month obligation. Flexibility is number 2.
That's awesome.
There's fun. The beer,
the bar downstairs with the
pretty good
with the keg.
Then FF&E. Like, if you going to try to buy office furniture, it's unbelievable. It's brutal.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Brutal.
And then you start having to worry about the tax liabilities of just owning
all
this,
the accounting stuff.
It's a freaking nightmare. I have a small office. I have a 2-office. I'm in a 2-office building, 3-office building, and I got to document. Well, I got a couch and I got the chairs and I got all of that becomes part of the friction. And people, what people want, people that want to own their own company or people that want to have a side hustle, people that want to grow something, right? What they need to get rid of, it's in order to create urgency with people. I talk about this all the time in sales, right? So in order to create urgency, you got to get rid of the distractions.
Yeah.
You got to get rid of the distractions. One of the key components is I'll become urgent once I have less distractions.
Yeah.
Once I don't have to, and the distractions are all of those.
They will.
All of those things.
They'll take up your day.
They will, and it'll stop you. It will stop you from moving forward. So I would do this, but I gotta. It's just too much. I'll put it off, and people kick the can down the road to starting their own company or starting that idea.
Well, interesting tie-in kind of to that point. So MRP Realty, big private developer, private investing in big real estate, developing big real estate, office, residential, partnership on an industrial platform. We got into this co-working platform because we'd sold a building, Washington Harbor, where Sequoia is. Yeah. Where beautiful project, sold it to a great buyer. We'd signed a lease for 10 years, long term, and we had an allocation. We had a tenant improvement allowance.
Yeah.
And you know how long it took us before we actually used the tenant improvement allowance and redid our space. Our space was garbage before.
Yeah.
We were just camping out in someone else's space, but it was free. It worked. But when we sold the building, we had to sign a lease.
You're right.
Take a guess how long it took us to actually do anything to that space, and we had the money to do it.
6 months.
A year. And we do this for a living. That was an aha moment.
Like, what the hell are we doing?
It's this hard for people.
Yeah, right.
Because you know what? When you're I don't care what size, unless you have somebody whose job is in charge of real estate, then everyone else is doing something else.
Yeah, right.
Doing their business.
Exactly right.
Out doing their sales, running the process.
Trying to work on
Not working on like who needs to sit next to who.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So, all right, so let's fast forward. So you become the CEO.
Yep. Of Make Offices. Yep.
Just phenomenal.
Yep.
Phenomenal. How do you, at that point, is it a mindset of yours that this culture, forget the product.
Yep.
The product is great. People will see it, go online, and you'll talk about that in a minute. But does it become a point? Does it become a core rock, a core value that you want to have a culture of fun and joy, or this culture of just, it seems, and maybe it's a too frou-frou of a word, but happiness.
No, but it's the hardest piece, because what I found is throughout my entire career I've worked with, started out with larger companies, but it kind of was a small piece of it when I was young, and then when it was with a smaller company that was growing, you were part of every part of that culture.
Yeah,
for
right.
Make Offices, it kind of stepped into the role. And it was already kind of a large organization. We had 34 people.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge was it was spread out. I'm a big culture guy, but it's a lot easier when people are working next to you, side by side with you, and you can they can a lot of lead by example.
Yeah.
To spread it with throughout 13 different locations in 3 different cities, the challenge is you really have to be more deliberate, more intentional about it, and I think about it a lot, and I have not perfected it.
Yeah,
it's got to be constant, and it's got to be anytime I get an opportunity to work side by side with somebody, I'll make a decision, and they see the decision. A lot of it's related to, customer service. We're in the customer service business. I really want to drive great customer experience.
Yeah, and
a lot of the shit doesn't matter. It's easy. Sometimes it's easiest to say yes.
Yeah, right.
At the end of the day, there's the numbers on saying yes are not. It's fine.
Yeah, right.
It'll work out.
Yeah,
and if you make a mistake, that's okay too.
We'll figure it out.
It's not like there's no patient on the table.
Yeah, right. We're not gonna. This isn't life or death.
Just go for it. Have fun saying yes and see what happens.
Have fun saying yes.
Yeah, because it's sort of freeing.
It's very liberating.
But not everybody's ready to do it.
And what do you think that is?
Some people have, whether it's different environments that they've been around.
Yeah, the programming.
Have programmed just to where it was easier to say no, or they were scared to say yes.
Yeah. What if I get it wrong?
And maybe over time the people get this. I'm more excited about someone that screws up at trying to achieve something great for a customer than if they said no and never tried.
Oh yeah, I ask my kids all the time, and I talk about this a lot. I tell them, I said, they'll get in the car from school or they'll get home, and I say, hey, tell me how you failed today. And they'll be like, what are you talking about? I remember the first time I asked them, they're like, hey, what are you talking about? I didn't fail. I'm like, no, tell me how you failed today. And I didn't fail. And they'll get very defensive. And it's because they have this idea that somehow failing is bad.
Yeah.
That's programmed. And so we ripped the Band-Aid off that shit early.
Yeah.
I said, tell me how you failed today.
That's good.
And because when you win, you celebrate, but when you fail, you get better. And so now they're like, oh, well, I tried to get an A on this test, and I got a B. And all right, that's awesome. Congratulations. What do you have to do differently next time? What do you have to? Because we've somehow as a culture we've confused failing with failure.
Yeah.
That's
good.
And the idea is, it's amazing. You find the program, walk up to one of your employees, walk up to your kids today, and say, hey, tell me how you failed today. And they'll immediately get defensive. And the only way to guarantee that you never fail is never leave your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So we teach people to stay in their comfort zone,
That's pretty good.
Which is crazy. So I want my kids are 13. They know that.
I got 11 and 13.
Yeah. So same. So
when I dropped my kids off school, my dad told this to me the first morning that I went to work to a real job, not doorman.
Yeah.
He said he met me for breakfast. He used to wake up at 10. He's since passed away. He used to wake up at later in the day. He was kind of semi-retired.
Yeah.
But he woke up at 6 a.m., met me for breakfast, and he's like, listen, there's a lot of smart people out in the world. You're going to be kind of blown away at some of what you think is intellect. But I promise you, effort wins the race.
Oh.
Like effort will win the race.
Yeah.
So I tell my kids, know that story, and every time they get out of the car on the way to school, I say, hey, guys, what do I say? They're like, effort wins the race.
That's
a couple weeks after telling my, at the time, I think he was like 8 or 9, he comes up to me, he's like, hey, Dad, who's effort?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I got like 2 mantras always to my kids. I will always overtip your diner waitress or waiter.
Fantastic.
Like, because they're working their ass off for that tip that's always smaller.
Yep.
And then when you're crossing the street, put a little pep in your step.
That's awesome.
If someone's waiting for you, put a little pep in your step. Get a jog. Make it. It's those two things
great.
with effort wins the race. I think it'll turn out.
That's fantastic.
That's it. That's all I'm telling them.
Great. That's your book. Write a book.
Yes.
Right. Just open the door.
It'll be a pamphlet.
Open the door and just write effort wins the race and put pep in your step. That's awesome. All right. So a couple more questions. So when it comes to, obviously, it appears to me, again, following the last month on LinkedIn, having this conversation today, and the talks we've had before this, is that you definitely have a growth mindset.
Yes.
And what do you do personally to kind of embrace that? Are you a podcast? Do you read?
No.
Do you go to conventions? Like, what's your self ritual, whatever, to get to embrace that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm a seeker, so I'm like I'll try stuff, and like my kind of greatest strength, but greatest kind of do you realize your greatest strength is always your greatest weakness?
Always,
right?
Always.
My greatest strength and greatest weakness. There's something about I need to be loved. Like so, I try hard. I work hard. Like you'll come out of this, you're gonna like me because I've worked harder. I work like I want to know more about you than you want to know about me.
Yeah,
that
awesome.
whole type thing.
Yeah.
And but my strength is that I try a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
My weakness is that I get bored by stuff pretty quick. You know what I mean? I've done from every fitness fad. I've done the CrossFit, paddleboarding, yoga. Like I'll take a run at all of it. Nothing's
stuck yet.
I don't know what I just consistency at the end of the day. I see it and I can appreciate seeing it, but it's definitely not me.
Yeah, so you need variety. You're big in variety.
I'm passionate, full in, and then probably drift to the next thing. But as it relates to like kind of growth, I think you know what I like. I find I'm not the smartest guy, but I like to talk to a lot of different people.
Yeah. And
what I like to do is if you talk to enough people, there's a lot of ideas out there. There's a lot of cool stuff. And if you can pull it together, like I'm a great synthesizer of other people's ideas.
That's awesome.
And I'm a kind of copycat, but it was a little different than they said it or did it.
Yeah.
So like I think
personalize it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what my setting or what I'm trying to figure out. Like I found the most creative time in real estate that I've had was when I was talking to a tech company that was starting up an app. Yeah. And I was trying to figure out, well, that's super creative. They were talking about how this company called Spotluck, and now they're doing Octopus. It's marketing, brilliant stuff. But how can I apply that to real estate? You know, like how can it? So I'm always kind of talking, and if you're out there and open, you're gonna get a lot of feedback and information and ideas, and so I think that's kind of the growth. But I'm still figuring it out.
That's awesome. All right. So a couple last questions. So first, where do people find you? Where do they? Where do they connect with? Obviously, we talked about LinkedIn.
You got to hit LinkedIn.
Right. So where else? So we find you. Obviously, you got a website and all that stuff. Where do people go right now?
www.makeoffices.com.
Yep.
That's kind of that's our website, and we are going to have this podcast. Anybody doing podcasts, love to get over here, try this recording studio out, and hopefully this sounds pretty good. I know I got
to talk you into building one somewhere next door to my office.
But
I'm not in DC, but this is awesome.
It's great. Well, that's great.
It's awesome.
So we got a website, and then it really is my email is zach.wade@makeoffices.com, and it is My cell phone number.
No.
Why not?
No,
But
come on.
you think people are listening this long into this thing?
Hell yeah, this shit's captivating. That shit's captivating. They're copying that shit down right now. There's no doubt.
My Social Security number is.
All right. So last question. So, what do you want? And maybe this is a very deep question, but for me, this is everything, and that is, what do you want your contribution to this world to be? Because that's all you're going to be remembered by is your contribution. What do you want when you leave this earth? What do you want your contribution to be?
That's pretty deep. Pretty deep. You know, certainly.
I end with that. I don't start with that.
Yeah,
shit.
no.
Whoa,
Certainly, you want to have a great have done right by your family, right? And it's kind of like you want your kids to be proud of you. You want your wife to be proud of you. That's constant. You got to always work on that. I missed my wife. I missed her anniversary this year, right? So it's tough. Don't do that.
When you say you missed it,
my anniversary. My wife missed it this year. Bad idea. So last
how long
week,
have you been married?
16
years. Oh man.
So it wasn't a major one though, right? It wasn't 15 or 10. But
I have it tattooed on the inside of my hand. So I don't forget that shit.
So it is. So we just had date week, and it was incredible, right?
That's awesome.
But so making her proud, making them proud, making my family proud. And then just what I think have you ever done? I know what my superpower is.
Yeah,
right?
what's your superpower?
It's energy.
Yeah.
All right. And
definitely feel that shit.
But there's a very cool card game where you can figure out what your superpower is within a group of people.
Oh, nice.
And it's pretty. You should check it out. I'll send you a copy.
Yeah, I got to figure out my superpower.
Because it is.
I always wanted one.
You have one. Everyone has one.
I got to find it.
It just depends on what it is. But I think it's I think as long as I've been a part of great teams, and I always have been, and always plan to be, and been a really strong contributor to that team, and we've done great things.
Yeah,
that'll be my legacy.
That's awesome. All right, listen, I can tell you this now. I'm definitely having your ass back again. So we're definitely gonna.
Oh, we got more to cover. We got more to cover.
More podcast because this is awesome.
We should do some hot wings. See how many hot wings we can do.
Oh yeah, perfect. I'm a big guy. Right?
We can do hot wings and beer drinking in the next one.
All right. I don't know if I'll take you on the beer drinking, but I definitely will take you on the hot wings. That's for sure. Awesome. So listen, if you are right now thinking, hey, I want to start my own company, I want to grow, whatever, you gotta find makeoffices.com. You gotta come down. If you're in DC, just come in and tour this place, because this place is sick. It's great. This is not your mom and dad's old office. This is some crazy
great
stuff.
And our team is like built towards they're outgoing, they're intellectually curious, and our goal is to help growth of the businesses and people within our space. Oh, yeah. And in order to do that, you jam them together, connect them.
Yeah, it seems like the
cool stuff happens.
Oh, it's
not complicated.
I was walking through, and there's here's a different company, here's a different company. I was online. I see your employees at the Nationals game with Make Office shirts on.
That's
right?
great.
So freaking awesome,
that's
right?
Real marketing.
Right.
Yes.
But it was like, hey, I'm going to wear the shirt because I'm proud of it. I talk about it all the time. I'm like, would people wear your tattoo? I have tattoos in my company office. They're like, would you wear my company name? Would you wear the tattoo? Yep. And they're like, what do you mean when I wear my company's name? I'm like, well, you think about it, Harley Davidson, Dallas Cowboys. These are some of the most gotten tattoos.
Yep.
People actually get Harley Davidson symbol, logo. So why is it so hard to believe that people would wear the Make Offices logo? It's nothing different. It's a company logo, but you believe so much in it. I saw your people at the National game, like, how cool is that shit? Because they don't have to wear that, but they're out there doing it because they believe in the culture, and that's obviously a representation of what you have here. So
I appreciate it.
That's awesome. All right, listen, check us out. Make sure if you know somebody, share this podcast and get them to listen to this, because Zach Wade is for real. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Appreciate it.